Krishna, dear devotees, welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books right here in the live studios, Hive, Southeast England in Kent, just near the English Channel. Hope you're all safe and well and happy. It seems like there's some increase in the COVID again from variants. Please stay, if you're not already vaccinated, please get vaccinated and stay safe. Long ways from over. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Mahima Stotram from Sri Krishna Lila Stava, verses 412 through 416 by Srila Sanatana Goswami. Goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdipi Yusha, Sarva Vedaika Satpala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja, Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Prabho, Kalidwandotitaditya, Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshakshadayate, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin, Madguro Mad Mahadana, Mandistadaga Mad Bhagya, Mad Anandanamostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadhuta dayin, atini chochatakada, hanamunchagadachin mam, premna rit kantayuk spuda. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right, Krishna's pastimes are heating up, trying to deliver the world from the burden of these demons. Chapter 59, the deliverance of the demon Bhaumāsura. The story of Bhaumāsura, how he kidnapped and made captive 16,000 princesses by collecting them from the palaces of various kings, and how he was killed by Krishna, the Supreme Lord, of wonderful character, is all described by Shukadeva Goswami to King Parikshit in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Generally, the demons are always against the demigods. This demon, Bhaumāsura, having become very powerful, took by force the umbrella from the throne of the demigod Varuna. He also took the earrings of Aditi, the mother of the demigods. He conquered the portion of the heavenly Mount Meru, known as Mani Parvata, and occupied it. the king of the heavenly planets, Indra, therefore came to Dwarka to complain about Bhaumāsura before Lord Krishna. Hearing this complaint by Indra, the king of heaven, Lord Krishna, accompanied by his wife Satyabhama, immediately started to the abode of Bhaumāsura. The two of them rode on the back of Garuda, who flew them to Pragjotishpur, Bhaumāsura's capital city. To enter the city of Pragjotishpur was not a very easy task because it was well fortified. First of all, there were 4 strongholds guarding the 4 directions of the city, which was well protected on all sides by formidable military strength. The next boundary was a water canal all around the city, and in addition, the whole city was surrounded by electric wires. The next fortification was of anila, a gaseous substance. After this, there was a network of barbed wire constructed by a demon of the name Mura. The city appeared well protected, even in terms of today's scientific advancements. When Krishna arrived, he broke all the strongholds to pieces by the strokes of his club and scattered the military strength here and there by the constant onslaught of his arrows. With his celebrated Sudarshan Chakra, he counteracted the electrified boundary, annihilated the canals of water and the gaseous boundary, and cut to pieces the electrified network fabricated by the demon Mura. By the vibration of his conch shell, he broke the hearts of the great fighters, and also broke the fighting machines that were there. Similarly, he broke the walls around the city with his invincible club. The vibration of Lord Krishna's conch shell sounded like a thunderbolt at the time of the dissolution of the whole cosmic manifestation. The demon Mura heard the vibration of the conch shell, awakened from his sleep, and came out to see what had happened. He had 5 heads and had long been living within the water. The Mura demon was as brilliant as the sun at the time of the dissolution of the cosmos, and his temper was like blazing fire. The effulgence of his body was so dazzling that he was difficult to see with open eyes. When he came out, he first took out his trident and rushed the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The demon Mura, in his onslaught, was like a big snake attacking Garuda. His angry mood was very severe, and he appeared ready to devour the 3 worlds. First of all, he attacked the carrier of Krishna, Garuda, by whirling and then throwing his trident. And through his 5 mouths, he vibrated sounds like the roaring of a lion. These roaring vibrations spread all over the atmosphere until they extended all over the world and into outer space, up and down and out to the 10 directions, rumbling throughout the entire universe. Lord Krishna saw that the trident of the Mura demon was rushing towards his carrier, Garuda. Immediately, by a trick of his hand, he took 2 arrows and threw them toward the trident, cutting it to pieces. Whoa. Simultaneously, using many arrows, he pierced the mouths of the demon Mura. When the Mura demon saw himself outmaneuvered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he immediately began to strike the Lord in great anger with his club. But Lord Krishna, with his own club, broke the club of Mura to pieces before it could reach him. The demon, bereft of his weapon, decided to attack Krishna with his strong arms. But Krishna, with the aid of his Sudarshan chakra, immediately separated the demon's 5 heads from his body. The demon then fell into the water, just as at the peak of a mountain falls into the ocean after being struck by the thunderbolt of Indra. This demon Mura had 7 sons, named Tamra, Antariksha, Shravana, Vibhavasu, Vasu, Nabhasvan, and Aruna. All of them became puffed up and vengeful because of the death of their father, and to retaliate, they prepared in great anger to fight with Krishna. They equipped themselves with the necessary weapons and situated Pita, another demon, to act as commander in the battle. By the order of Bhaumāsura, all of them combinedly attacked Krishna. When they came before Lord Krishna, they began to shower him with many kinds of weapons, like swords, clubs, lances, arrows, and tridents. But they did not know that the strength of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is unlimited and invincible. Krishna, with his arrows, cut all the weapons of the men of Bhaumāsura into pieces like grains. Krishna then threw his weapons, and Bhaumāsura's commander-in-chief, Pita, along with his assistants, fell down, their military dress cut off, and their heads, legs, arms, and thighs severed. All of them were sent to the superintendent of death, Yamaraj. Bhaumāsura, who was also known as Narakasura, happened to be the son of the earth personified. When he saw that all his soldiers, commanders, and fighters had been killed on the battlefield by the strokes of the weapons of the personality of Godhead, he became exceedingly angry at the Lord. He then came out of the city with a great number of elephants, who had all been born and brought up on the seashore. All of them were highly intoxicated. When they came out, they saw that Lord Krishna and his wife were beautifully situated, high in outer space, just like a blackish cloud about the sun, glittering with the light of electricity. The demon Bhaumāsura immediately released a weapon called Shatragni, by which he could kill hundreds of warriors with one stroke, and all his assistants simultaneously threw their respective weapons at the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Krishna counteracted all these weapons by releasing his feathered arrows. The result of this fight was that all the soldiers and commanders of Bhaumāsura fell to the ground, their arms, legs, and heads separated from their trunks, and all their horses and elephants also fell with them. In this way, all the weapons released by Bhaumāsura were cut to pieces by the Lord's arrows. The Lord was fighting on the back of Garuda, who was helping him by striking the horses and elephants with his wings and scratching their heads with his nails and sharp beak. The elephants, feeling much pain from Garuda's attack on them, all dispersed from the battlefield. Bhaumāsura, alone, remained on the battlefield, and he engaged himself in fighting with Krishna. He saw that Krishna's carrier, Garuda, had caused great disturbance to his soldiers and elephants, and in great anger he struck Garuda with all his strength, which defied the strength of a thunderbolt. Fortunately, Garuda was not an ordinary bird, and he felt the strokes given by Bhaumāsura just as a great elephant feels the impact of a garland of flowers. Bhaumāsura thus came to see that none of his tricks would act upon Krishna, and he became aware that all his attempts to kill Krishna would be frustrated. Yet he tried for the last time, taking a trident in his hand to strike him. Krishna was so dexterous that before Bhaumāsura could throw his trident, his head was cut off by the sharp Sudarshan chakra. His head, illuminated by earrings and a helmet, fell down on the battlefield. On the occasion of Bhaumāsura's being killed by Lord Krishna, all the demons' relatives screamed in disappointment, and the saintly persons glorified the chivalrous activities of the Lord. Taking this opportunity, the denizens of the heavenly planets showered flowers on the Lord. At this time, the earth personified appeared before Lord Krishna and greeted him with a Vaijayanti flower garland. She then returned the dazzling earrings of Aditi, bedecked with jewels and gold. She also returned the umbrella of Varuna, along with a valuable jewel, which she presented to Krishna. After this, the earth personified offered her prayers to Krishna, the Supreme Personality and Master of the world, who was always worshipped by exalted demigods. She fell down in obeisances and in great devotional ecstasy began to speak. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who is always present with 4 symbols, namely his conch shell, disc, lotus, and club, and who is the Lord of all demigods. Please accept my respectful obeisances unto you, my dear Lord, who are the super soul, and in order to satisfy the aspirations of your devotees, you descend to the earth in your various transcendental incarnations, which are just appropriate to the devotee's worshipful desire. Kindly accept my respectful obeisances. My dear Lord, the lotus flower grows out of your navel, and you are always decorated with a garland of lotus flowers. Your eyes are always spread like the petals of the lotus flower, and therefore they are all pleasing to the eyes of others. Your soft and delicate lotus feet are always worshipped by your unalloyed devotees, and those lotus feet pacify their lotus-like hearts. I therefore repeatedly offer my respectful obeisances unto you. You possess all beauty, strength, fame, property, knowledge, and renunciation. You are the shelter of all 6 opulences. Although you are all-pervading, you have appeared as the son of Vāsadeva. Please, therefore, accept my respectful obeisances. You are the original Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Supreme Cause of all causes. Only your Lordship is the reservoir of all knowledge. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Personally, you are unborn. Still, you are the Father of the whole cosmic manifestation. You are the reservoir and shelter of all kinds of energies. The manifested appearance of this world is caused by you, and you are both the cause and effect of this cosmic manifestation. Please, therefore, accept my respectful obeisances. My dear Lord, as for the 3 gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, they are not independent of you. When there is a necessity of creating this cosmic manifestation, you create your passionate appearance of Brahma. And when you want to maintain this cosmic manifestation, you expand yourself as Lord Vishnu, the reservoir of all goodness. Similarly, you appear as Lord Shiva, master of the mode of ignorance, and thus dissolve the whole creation. You always maintain your transcendental position in spite of creating these three modes of material nature. You were never entangled in these modes of nature as the living, ordinary living entities are. Actually, my Lord, you are the material nature. You are the Father of the universe. And you are eternal time, which has caused the combination of the elements of nature and the manifestation of the material creation. Still, you are always transcendental to all these material activities. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know that earth, water, fire, air, sky, the five sense objects, mind, the senses, and their deities, egotism, and the total material energy, all things, animate and inanimate, in this phenomenal world, rests upon you. Since everything is produced of you, nothing can be separate from you. Yet you are the transcendentally situated, since you are transcendentally situated, nothing material can be identified with your personality. Everything is therefore simultaneously one with you and different from you. And the philosophers who try to separate everything from you are certainly mistaken in their viewpoint. My dear Lord, may I inform you that this boy, whose name is Bhagadatta, is the son of my son, Bhaumāsura. He has been very much affected by the ghastly situation created by the death of his father, and has become very much confused and afraid. I have therefore brought him to surrender unto your lotus feet. I request your lordship to give shelter to this boy and bless him with your lotus feet. I bring him to you so that he may be relieved of the reactions of all the sinful activities of his father. After Lord Krishna had heard the prayers of Mother Earth, he immediately assured her of immunity from all fearful situations. He said to Bhagadatta, "Don't be afraid." Then he entered the palace of Bhaumāsura, which was equipped with all kinds of opulences. In the palace of Bhaumāsura, Lord Krishna saw 16,100 young princesses who had been kidnapped and held captive there. When the princesses saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, enter the palace, they immediately became captivated by the beauty of the Lord and prayed for his causeless mercy. Within their minds, they decided to accept Lord Krishna as their husband without hesitation. Each one of them prayed to Providence that Krishna might become her husband. Sincerely and seriously, they offered their hearts to the lotus feet of Krishna with an unalloyed devotional attitude. As the Supersoul in everyone's heart, Krishna could understand their uncontaminated desire, and he agreed to accept them as his wives. He thus arranged for suitable garments and ornaments for them, and each of them, seated on a palanquin, was dispatched to Dwarka city. Krishna also collected unlimited wealth from the palace, a treasure of chariots, horses, jewels, and so on. He took from the palace 50 white elephants, each with 4 tusks, and all of them were dispatched to Dwarka. After this incident, Lord Krishna and Satyabhama entered Amaravati the capital city of the heavenly planets, and they immediately entered the palace of King Indra and his wife Shachi-Devi, who welcomed them. Krishna then presented Indra with the earrings of Aditi. When Krishna and Satyabhama were returning from the capital city of Indra, Satyabhama remembered Krishna's promise to give her a parijata tree. Taking the opportunity of having come to the heavenly kingdom, she uprooted a parijata tree and placed it on the back of Garuda. Once Narada had taken the parijata flower and presented it to Krishna's senior wife, Sri Rukmini Devi. On account of this, Satyabhama had developed an inferiority complex. She also wanted such a flower from Krishna. Krishna could understand the competitive womanly nature of his co-wives, and he had smiled. He had immediately asked Satyabhama, "Why are you asking for only one flower? I would like to give you a whole tree of parijata flowers." Actually, Krishna had purposely taken his wife Satyabhama with him so that she could collect the parijata with her own hand. But the denizens of the heavenly planets, including Indra, were very irritated. Without their permission, Satyabhama had uprooted a parijata tree, which is not to be found on the earth planet. Indra, along with other demigods, offered opposition to Krishna and Satyabhama. Indra, along with other demigods, offered opposition to Krishna and Satyabhama for taking away the tree. But in order to please his favorite wife Satyabhama, Krishna became determined and adamant. So there was a fight between the demigods and Krishna. As usual, Krishna came out victorious, and he triumphantly brought the parijata tree chosen by his wife to this earth planet, to Dwarka. After this, the tree was installed in the palace garden of Satyabhama. On account of this extraordinary tree, the garden house of Satyabhama became extraordinarily beautiful. As the parijata tree came down to the earthly planet, the fragrance of its flowers also came down, and the celestial drones migrated to this earth in search of their fragrance and honey. King Indra's behavior toward Krishna was not very much appreciated by great sages like Shukadev Goswami. Out of their causeless mercy, Krishna had gone to the heavenly kingdom, Amaravati, to present King Indra with his mother's earrings, which had been lost to Bhaumāsura, and Indra had been very glad to receive them. But when a parijata tree from the heavenly kingdom was taken by Krishna, Indra had fought with him. This was self-interest on the part of Indra. He had offered his prayer, tipping down his head to the lotus feet of Krishna. But as soon as his purpose had been served, he became a different creature. That is the way of the dealings of materialistic men. Materialistic men are always interested in their own profit. For this purpose, they can offer any kind of respect to anyone. But when their personal interest is over, they are no longer friends. This selfish nature is found not only among the richer class of men on this planet, but even in personalities like Indra and other demigods. Too much wealth makes a man selfish. A selfish man is not prepared to take to Krishna consciousness and is condemned by the great devotees, like Shukadev Goswami. In other words, possession of too many worldly riches is a disqualification for advancement in Krishna consciousness. After defeating Indra, Krishna arranged to marry the 16,100 girls brought from the custody of Bhaumāsura. By expanding himself into 16,100 forms, he simultaneously married them all in different palaces at the same auspicious moment. He thus established the truth that Krishna and no one else is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is nothing impossible for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is all-powerful, omnipresent, and imperishable. And so there is nothing wonderful in this pastime. All the palaces of the more than 16,000 queens of Krishna were filled with suitable gardens, furniture, and other paraphernalia, to which there is no parallel in this world. There is no exaggeration in this story from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. The queens of Krishna were all expansions of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmiji. Krishna lived with them in different palaces, and he treated them exactly the same way an ordinary man treats his wife. We should always remember that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was playing exactly like a human being, although he showed his extraordinary opulences by simultaneously marrying more than 16,000 wives in more than 16,000 palaces. He behaved with them just like an ordinary man, and he strictly followed the relationship between husband and wife required in ordinary homes. Therefore, it is very difficult to understand the characteristics of the Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead. Even demigods like Brahma are unable to probe into the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The wives of Krishna were so fortunate that they got the Supreme Personality of Godhead as their husband, although their husband's personality was unknown even to Brahma and the other demigods. In their dealings as husband and wife, Krishna and his queens would smile, talk, joke, embrace, and so on. And their conjugal relationship ever increasingly developed. In this way, Krishna and the queens enjoyed transcendental happiness in their household life. Although each and every queen had thousands of maidservants engaged for her service, the queens were all personally attentive to serving Krishna. Each one of them used to receive Krishna personally when he entered the palace. They engaged in seating him on a nice couch, worshipping him with all kinds of paraphernalia, washing his lotus feet with Ganges water, offering him betel nuts, and massaging his legs. In this way, they gave him relief from the fatigue he felt after being away from home. They fanned him nicely, offered him fragrant, essential floral oil, decorated him with flower garlands, dressed his hair, asked him to lie down to take rest, bathed him personally, and fed him palatable dishes. Each queen did all these things herself and did not wait for the maidservants. In other words, Krishna and his different queens displayed on this earth an ideal household life. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 59th chapter of Krishna, the deliverance of the demon Bhaumāsura. All glories to the unlimited opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and at the same time, his human-like nature to treat all of those 16,108 wives just like ordinary husband treats an ordinary wife. Unbelievable. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 59th chapter. Unbelievable. Okay. 7:55, almost 8 o'clock. We'll stop our reading today, which was really wonderful. What variegatedness. What wonder. How Krishna just by himself dealt with all of those demons and their fortifications. Amazing. Truly amazing. Okay, Hare Krishna. Maybe there's some reflections.
First is something from Brian Phillips.
Haribo Bhakta Brian.
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj and Hare Krishna to all devotees taking their daily nectar medicine. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Jai and glories to Prabhupada.
From Bhakti Noel.
Hare Krishna Bhakti Noel.
She says, Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you for our daily nectar. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Jai and glories to Prabhupada.
And from Bhakta Rupa, he says, Hare Krishna Maharaj,
Haribo Bhakta Rupa.
please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Amazing to hear how Krishna easily broke into the futuristically fortified city of Pragjyotishpur. Sounds like a science fiction city with electric fences, a gas boundary, and fighting machines that sound a lot like robots. Krishna is like the ultimate superhero riding Garuda equipped with Sudarshan Chakra, club, and arrows. Haribol.
Haribol.
I think I've heard somewhere that electricity is a kind of demoniac technology, which makes sense as electrical technology certainly seems to make life more complicated and less sattvic.
Well, it certainly did to Bhaumāsura and the Muradima, that's for sure. But electricity is always there in the atmosphere. It's not that electricity is some discovery of a scientist or made by a scientist. Every time a lightning bolt goes off, that's electricity. It's there in the atmosphere. It's part of the fire element.
From Sudevi.
Sudevi Dasi, Hare Krishna.
She says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Jai Ho.
Glories to another day of hearing about Krishna's inconceivable activities and potencies.
Yes.
Thank you.
I was thinking as I was listening to the opulences of Krishna and his power, I was thinking, what could possibly prevent us from just surrendering fully to Krishna? And then I thought, wow, the material energy is very powerful. The academic scholars, they read these things and they dismiss them as mythology. Didn't really happen. Imagine. Gives them a very false sense of power that they can dismiss something like that. Anyway, Hare Krishna. What else?
Saloni Sachi Sundari says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, happy Guru Purnima. Thank you for always carrying and reading the nectar.
Another thing that came into my mind while we were reading is that, Śrīla Prabhupada was a transcendental genius, but he empowered his editors And they edited these books in a very nice way, you know. And Prabhupada gave them credit, especially Jayadvaita Maharaj, because he was so pleased with him. He stated many times how much trust he had in him. And yet so many devotees, even older devotees, are not, they don't trust him, and therefore they think it was wrong for the books to continue to be edited to make them as polished as they are now. It's a mistake. Hare Krishna. I offer my respectful opinion to all the Vaishnavas who are hearing every day these wonderful books read by yours truly from the most recent polished edits, and I haven't heard one complaint. So I think that if a person tries to read these books and look for faults in them, they can't hear. They can't hear, they can't feel the effect, the change of heart that comes from hearing Krishna's pastimes with full faith. Hare Krishna. Krishna.
Something from Vrajaloka.
Vrajaloka, Haribo.
She says, Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. All glories to you. Thank you for today's reading. It was very nice to hear the prayers offered by Bhumi Devi. I liked the statement, your pure devotees constantly worship your soft lotus feet, which fill their lotus hearts with peace. Today is Srila Sanatana Goswami's disappearance day. Can you please share some thought with us about how to meditate on him this day? Thank you, your servant.
Well, Sanatana Goswami was the senior disciple, especially in terms of his elevated position in human society before he surrendered himself to Lord Chaitanya. He was more or less in a position equal to a prime minister of a huge population. He was Saraswat Brahman, completely qualified in every way, great scholar in Sanskrit, Urdu, and other languages. He and his brother Rupa, you know, in their headquarters where they lived, were great devotees, even when they were, you know, serving the Muslim emperor. And at the same time, they had deep humility when they approached Lord Chaitanya together. They felt deep humility. They had been ostracized by the Brahmin community because of their association with the Muslim rulers. And but obviously they were most intimate servants. And when they met him the first time, Lord Chaitanya, maybe it was the second time, but anyway, one of those times, Lord Chaitanya said that you were my old servants. You have been my servants for a long time. Actually, he meant eternally, of course. But they visited then Lord Chaitanya in Puri, and Lord Chaitanya, and they visited him in Varanasi and Prayag. And Lord Chaitanya spent the most time instructing Lord Chaitanya, Sanatana Goswami, as anyone else. And he praised Sanatana Goswami to his intimate associates in Jagannath Puri as being so qualified that he gave him his full mercy, and then gave him the service of going to Vrindavan and writing transcendental literatures to verify the teachings of Lord Chaitanya from revealed scriptures, and also to excavate the lost places of pilgrimage. When they got there to Vrindavan, it was just like a forest and fields. All the pastimes, places of Krishna had all been covered over by time. And so expertly, by researching in books and going and seeing the places themselves and feeling the transcendental ecstasy, they confirmed these places. Just like Jagannath Das Babaji confirmed the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya when Bhaktivedanta Thakur thought he had found it. He had it confirmed by Jagannath Das Babaji, who jumped out of he was being carried in a basket. He was so old and invalid. He was carried in a basket, and he jumped out of the basket when he saw the place of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes and started dancing in ecstasy. So these are not ordinary people. These are not ordinary devotees. These are great liberated souls, both Rupa and Sanatana, Manjaris, intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya, of Radharani. And so when Lord Chaitanya met them, their natural love for each other woke. And all the residents of Vrindavan, Lord Sanatana Goswami would travel, in different places and stay in different places. He had bhajan kutirs in different places in Vrindavan. And all the people would come there, and he would speak to them and ask them about their cows and about their crops and about their families and solve, arguments. And everyone treated him like their father. Very intimate relationship. So on the day of Guru Purnima, when all the residents of Govardhan and Braj go to Govardhan Hill and circumambulate, they found out that Sanatana Goswami had left his body in that day, and they all shaved their heads, and they all worshipped Sanatana Goswami, everyone. And therefore, after that day, the Guru Purnima became the most crowded of all the days in Govardhan. Then, of course, he wrote the Bhagavatamrita and so many other books, and along with Rupa Goswami wrote Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and so many other books to make the science of devotional service accessible to the people of the world. Such intimate servants of Lord Chaitanya. Hare Krishna. Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night. Same time, same place, same topics. The ever-expanding, juicy, nectarian pastimes of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow. Hari Bol.